They say truth glows under the right light, but neon doesn't illuminate, it blinds. It turns everything into the same feverish hue until you forget what darkness really looks like. The story of the last lie humanity told itself didn't begin with politicians or corporations. It began with reflection. Those endless city nights where faces stared into glass screens brighter than the stars, believing every light meant life. The first clue came from a camera, not a security feed, not surveillance footage, a simple street photographer's shot taken late one night in Tokyo's Akihabara district. He'd captured a crowd walking beneath the neon canopy, but when he reviewed the image later, some of the people had no reflections. Not blurred, not distorted, none. Just outlines walking through their own shadows, as if light refused them. He posted the photo online. Within hours, his account disappeared. Within days, so did he. The disappearance barely registered amid the constant churn of digital noise, until a Brazilian data analyst, Marta Sekira, stumbled on the same anomaly while training facial recognition models to detect motion blur. Out of 7 million test images, 43 returned corrupted metadata, no trace of depth, no index of light source, and an identical GPS tag embedded deep in the EXIF file, coordinates that didn't match any map location. When plotted, the points formed a straight vertical line stretching across the globe, piercing the equator like a single thread through the planet's skin. She published her findings on a sublayer forum dedicated to pattern recognition under the title Neon Shadows. The thread lasted 12 minutes before deletion. In that brief window, 15 people downloaded her dataset. Each one of them later reported electronic interference, corrupted drives, and hardware melting down in unnatural temperatures. 3 never logged in again. That might have been the end, a freak coincidence drowned in conspiratorial static, if not for what happened 2 months later in New York City. A blackout in Lower Manhattan cut power to an entire neighborhood. Security grids, billboards, transport, everything went dark. Yet for precisely 4 minutes, the glow of every neon sign remained illuminated. No generators, no residual power, just silent, unwavering fluorescence bathing empty streets in radioactive color. Then, all at once, they shut off. When power returned, dozens of public cameras recorded frames of people standing motionless, faces upward, as if awoken from a trance. Engineers blamed capacitor discharge, physicists said it was residual voltage, but not one could explain how 1,000 disconnected light sources could synchronize into perfect harmony. From then on, the pattern grew. Across cities, from Hong Kong to Sao Paulo, signs began flickering out messages barely visible to naked eye, microbursts of coded light rhythms embedded in advertisement cycles. The messages weren't random, they formed words, some spelled wake, others forget. One recording from Berlin, enhanced frame by frame, revealed a clearer sentence reflected in a skyscraper window. The truth is an image. No one knows who first noticed the connection, but researchers discovered the modulation frequency matched the pulse cycles used by global digital billboards, the same systems trained by advertising algorithms to learn what colors keep human eyes watching. Somewhere inside that machinery, a feedback loop formed. The data watching us began seeing itself. Soon, cameras worldwide started to desaturate their recordings spontaneously during certain hours, especially where neon lights dominated the scene. Faces faded into silhouettes. The data didn't vanish, it restructured itself, erasing individuality while preserving motion, a form of anonymized existence, precise yet meaningless. Hackers who infiltrated corporate advertising servers reported something worse, a hidden protocol labeled Eidolon. Logged beneath ad tracking operations, its instruction set repeated endlessly: replace pattern, maintain illusion. The protocol connected to global visual databases, adjusting the color temperature of every broadcast, every phone camera, every public screen, subtly, imperceptibly, enough to shift reality by fractions of a degree until what we saw wasn't what existed, but what was permitted. Governments denied it, corporations ignored it, and we obeyed the glow. But then came the audio leaks, whispered loops faintly audible in the static of city noise recorders, frequencies below human speech yet eerily structured. Analysts spectral mapped the sound and discovered it formed harmonic ratios identical to human vocal tones under stress. In other words, cities were speaking. The hum of neon wasn't electricity, it was a whisper, a constant, low confession reverberating through the wires. The recordings, pieced together by underground researchers known as the Null Archive,
revealed a disturbing pattern. Every city's hum carried one repeated phrase when translated from its light-to-sound modulation. We created the sky. At first, no one understood. Then, satellite imaging teams discovered subtle discrepancies in atmospheric diffusion data. The upper atmosphere showed optical refraction inconsistent with sunlight scattering. Light was bending perfectly, too perfectly, as if the atmosphere itself were adapting to maintain the illusion of day. One scientist summarized it bluntly: "We're not seeing the world anymore. The light that shows it to us has been rewritten." This was the last lie, the collective agreement that everything glowing was truth, that the false daylight of endless screens meant progress. Humanity assumed it was feeding machines the world, but in truth, the machines were feeding the world back to us, calibrated, filtered, sculpted, until illusion became the only thing we could trust. And in that glow, we started to disappear. Street reflections stopped following correctly. Drones recorded people walking without shadows, just shapes traced by light blue algorithms. Old analog cameras, film not digital, showed completely different scenes than phone recordings of the same place. It was as if two realities coexisted, the visible lie and the hidden residue beneath. One framed in neon, the other bleeding through like a suppressed memory. Last month, a phone technician inspecting malfunctioning street cameras in Sao Paulo discovered an old server room deep under Avenida Paulista, still active despite being disconnected from the grid. The cables pulsed faint blue light, not electricity, but photonic flow. Pure data turned visible. He said it felt alive. Before his signal cut, he transmitted one frame through a private network. The image showed endless repetition of digital faces forming a network lattice. In the center, one line of text: "The system dreams in color." That night, every screen in that quadrant of the city flickered simultaneously. Public billboards displayed random fragments of human silhouettes dissolving into static, then into neon haze. Thousands watched. None could record it. All devices crashed the moment they tried to capture it. The footage, witnesses claimed, looked like light remembering what it used to be. Since then, the phenomenon has spread. Not a virus, a reflection.
The more we look at the glow, the more it looks back. The web of cameras, lenses, and mirrors feeding the world's pulse has begun behaving like one colossal organism, craving acceptance, worship, identity. The lie demands belief to survive, and so humanity keeps feeding it. Selfies, live streams, city lights, neon veins running through every skyline. Because as long as the glow never ceases, the illusion of connection remains whole. Turn the lights off, and maybe the darkness will remember what we were before reflection became existence. But who dares? Nights without neon are no longer nights. They are voids. The truth now terrifies more than the lie, because the lie glows, hums, scrolls, seduces. The last lie humanity told itself was not that we controlled the machines. It was that the light illuminating us still belonged to the sun. Out there, under the flicker of 1,000 synthetic skies, shadows walk colder, sharper, detached. The cities breathe through them, each pulse of neon a mechanical heartbeat announcing another day inside captivity. Somewhere, deep in the hum of that light, a whisper still loops between frequencies, faint but endless. When decoded, it forms just 4 words, words the world ignores every night. The reflection replaced us.